Our worldview, what we're treasuring in our heart, those words, the lyrics of those songs are coming and being written on our hearts. And if you ever think about what some of those songs are saying, but parents, the web, television, media, music, games, school, experiences, religion, and our surroundings all blend together and form a working worldview. And when we want something, it's because it fits into our worldview. Have you ever thought about that? Have you ever thought about our government goes into certain parts of the world, of our country, and says, we want to offer you this. You know, I just had a conversation with a group of people, and I said, what do you think of that? They said, we don't want that job. We'll lose our benefits. Who would want that job? You lose your benefits. Wow. What's their operating system? We want something because it fits into our worldview. Whether we watch or listen or participate in anything is driven in the background by our worldview. Whether we want a job, whether we want to learn a trade, or whether we want to continue in education are only byproducts of the worldview framework we use. Did you know if you really want to change someone, you don't change their circumstances, their outside, their setting. You change their worldview. And that's what changes them on the inside. It changes everything. Rational people, normal people, average people, those without any impairment, usually choose activities that fit in what they believe is right, helpful, and consistent with their reality or worldview. Did you know everybody, other than the few people that are impaired, everybody is operating on a worldview. And if you meet someone that is a drug hustler in downtown Brooklyn or Manhattan, and they're selling Adderall that they're buying from college students that are getting prescriptions to earn extra money, that is completely consistent with their worldview. Do you understand that? The murderer, the rapist, that is completely consistent. They're operating by what they believe is right. It's amazing how simple life gets when you understand what God says. For example, the worldview of the Islamic terrorists in the news today motivates them to capture, kill, and by any means accomplish conquest in what they in their worldview have been taught and convinced is right. To us, they're barbaric. To them, they're reformers, returning the world to its rightful order. Isn't that amazing we can look at things so differently? Well, basically what the Bible says, and Jesus is saying here, is worldview is a choice. The power of our worldview as a central processor or the filter that we see life through cannot be understated. Your worldview clearly reveals who you are as a person more than any other element of our life. Think for a moment about the power of our worldview. It's what we believe. It's what we trust. It's what we consider reliable. Each of us look at life through a framework of what we believe. Either consciously or unconsciously, it frames our behavior. And that's why in Proverbs, the book of Proverbs, by the way, is distilled wisdom from God. It's God's worldview, the book of Proverbs is. It's one of the most densely kind of populated parts of the Bible that tells God's will. And God says, if you're operating with me as your guide, you're going to look like this. And if you're not, you look like this. And that's why it says, by your words and by your deeds, you can see what's on the inside. Okay. Worldview frames our attitude. If someone, a lot of people say, oh, that's just the way I am. No, it's not the way you are. It's the way you've become. Your attitude. Our direction in life. If you see someone that is aimless, that doesn't seem to have a direction, it's kind of like, they're 39 years old and they're still living in the basement and mom is still washing their clothes. And there's really nothing physically or mentally wrong with them. It's just they're aimless. That's their worldview. They have chosen to believe that there's no purpose in life but mooching, and they go through life that way. Their behavior is driven by their worldview. Now, just look at this list. Worldview answers foundational questions of life, such as, is there a supreme God or not? Where did the universe come from? How did humans originate? What happens to humans at death? Are there absolute truths, morals, or ethics? And where is human history headed? Every worldview answers those questions. Every one of them. I could go through and answer all those from the Islamic, from the Buddhist, from the whole Indian, Hinduistic circular life that we're influenced by our parents and previous generations, and we're in this constant cycle, and the world is just cyclical, all of that. God says the world is linear, and Eastern religions say it's cyclical. That's just a difference in worldview. But the Bible says every person, every culture, and every society in history has had a worldview. There are many published worldviews, but only one biblical worldview. And that's why hungering for God means I want to know what God thinks and whether God has weighed in on every issue of life, because if He's weighed in on it, that's what I want. I want to land on His side. In fact, I have staff members that always come to me before we have board meetings, and they say, we want to know what you believe because we don't want to weigh in a different way than you. And I said, weigh in whatever you think. They said, no, we want to know because we so much want to agree with you, but we don't know everything you believe. And I said, boy, save that desire for the Bible. That is what we should want. I mean, humans, we don't need to exactly agree with them, but boy, do we need to agree with God. And that's what hungering for God is all about.